Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porch Light Letters podcast number 2235. Play for the sake of playing. We've been having some serious topics lately, although there are humorous moments. But I thought, let's take a break from that. Let's talk about playing. Just something simple like playing. And I came across, and I thought of this topic because in a few weeks I'm going up to Denver for my niece's wedding, and there's a few of us family members that are going to be sharing a house, and somebody is suggesting we have a game night. I'm like, I'm down for that. just playing for the sake of playing. Let me just quickly, I got to close this down because it's going to distract me otherwise. There we go. Okay. So play is often dismissed as frivolous, something reserved for children or stolen in rare moments, but play is essential to our wholeness. It reminds us that life isn't about productivity or achievement. It's about joy, presence, and lightness. When we puzzle, doodle, sing in the car, or dance behind the wheel, we are reconnecting with the part of ourselves that doesn't need a reason to delight. Play is rebellion against the idea that every moment must be useful. It's rest disguised as joy. It's the simple rituals, a favorite tea, a comfort of a weighted blanket, the sweetness of chocolate melting on the tongue. Oh, yes. That remind us we're allowed to just be. In play, we aren't wasting time. We're nourishing the soul. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, I play every day. I do. I actually went and got props for today. Yay! I remembered. I'm sitting here with my weighted blanket on. If you don't know what a weighted blanket is, it is a blanket that has some weight to it. When we were growing up, if we were cold, we had blankets on our bed, followed by the bedspread, and then we had a quilt. And in the wintertime, if you're cold, you just burrowed down into that pile of blankets and stuff. And the weighted blankets that you get now, they remind me of the weight of the real wool blankets that we had on, along with the bedspread and then the quilt on top. So I went and grabbed mine. This one, which side am I on? Oh, yeah, this is the top of it. So I can actually use it on the king size bed. It covers my side very well. I just haven't been able to use it a lot in Arizona because the nights are so hot. And the RV, definitely we're able to use it in the wintertime, but for about 3 or 4 months. But sitting here with it just on my lap, I've got my feet ensconced in it down there, and I got a little footstool down under there that my feet are resting on, wrapped in the weighted blanket. It's very comforting. I have to tell you, when you get the weighted blanket on, it's the comfort. It's it reminds you of those mornings when you were snuggled down in bed on a cold winter's day. In New Zealand, we don't have central heating. Well, we kind of sort of do now. So if you were cold, you just put blankets on. If you were hot, you open the window and threw some blankets off and that sort of stuff. So, but I'm just sitting here going, oh. But every day I go and play. Zeffie got me into the mode of this. She would come and sit here on her haunches and put her paws on my legs and say, come on, Mum, it's time. We need to get off the computer now. And then I would tell her it's showtime. And so she would come in here reluctantly to do showtime. Because after the podcast, or depending what time of the year it was, if it was before 6, if it was wintertime, before 6 p.m., we would go for our walk and come back and do the podcast. If it was the summertime, we do it after the podcast because we want to go in the cooler part of the day. And in the wintertime, we want to get the walk in before it goes dark outside. So it was a jug thing. But, I'd tell her it was showtime. So she'd get up and she'd follow me into the office. She knew exactly. She'd come in underneath. She'd come in this door here. I'd come in this door here. It was quite funny. Sometimes I would screw her up and follow her because she'd be standing there waiting for me to come through the door and I'm behind her. You gotta, it was all part of playing. And then she liked to play with her toys. She'd have some favorite toys. She'd get the squeaker. I would tell her how smart she got. At first, when she was a young pup, she would get those toys and rip them apart to get the squeaker, and then she would destroy the squeaker. Then she got clever. She started destroying the squeaker without destroying the toy. So now we have a bunch of toys that have no squeaker because she figured out how to damage the squeaker without getting the stuffing everywhere. Smart little girl she was. Other ways that we can play is get puzzle books. I love doing puzzles. These ones have my favorite ones in there. I like logic problems and crypto families and cryptograms and secret words Anagram Magic Square is one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of word seek. Sometimes I will do them. Most of the times I won't. But this one is filled with all my favorite stuff in there as well. I like the ones that have the spiral binding because they're easier to. Well, this one's been well used and well loved. Yeah, because when you go like this, you get that little rounded piece there on the side. You don't get that with this. You just go, boom. It's done. It's ready to go. So I got my puzzle books. I love my puzzle books. So that's part of play. The other part of play is that when Zeffie and I would go out walking and stuff, she got me off my headphones. I would have my headphones on listening to audiobooks, and I'll be walking like this the entire time. Like she would literally be she would just be pulling on the leash and going backwards and forwards. As soon as I took my earphones off and started walking without them, she walked beautifully just ahead of me or by my side. Like, you're present with me, I'm present with you. So her pulling and dragging me around was her way of saying, get it off there. We need to be present together. But we would stop. She was always smelling flowers. Always smelling flowers. That was her thing. When she'd see a flower, she'd go and sniff it. Trying to keep her off other people's front yards, that was a challenge. But we managed it. And then we walk out in the mornings, we'd be walking out and we'd be watching the birds flying around and playing. And she would stop and just follow them around, watch them along with me. There was one time we're out there and there were two hummingbirds that kind of came together and they were tumbling in the air. It was fascinating to watch them. I'm like, why are they not dropping? They're tumbling in the air and then they separate and flit around. And one of them came down to say hi, which would have been Brad visiting, and the other one took off where I don't know. But just watching the birds fly, we would sit out there on the back porch, and we don't have any trees in our backyard, but two of our neighbors do, and they're right in the corners. And so we would watch the birds flying backwards and forwards between the things, playing with each other, and they're playing chase and tackling each other in the air. It was awesome to watch. And Zeffie would just watch them go by. And then all of a sudden they'll disappear, and then you'd hear the roar of the jet engines coming as the jets flew overhead. It's awesome. The other thing I do for play is read. This is what I'm currently reading. This is a really cool book. It doesn't say that it's based on any actual. It's not inspired by true stories. That's what I was looking for. But reading it, of course, it takes place around the same time as this book, The Lost Girls of Paris, which is inspired by true events and true characters and things like that. True stories. This one is not, but it's still very good. And these two together are kind of really cool. And they both cover the Special Operations Executive Wing. This is about actual women who were trained up and sent as agents into France during World War II to be the agent on the ground, because they were finding a lot of their men were getting killed. Their male agents were getting killed because most of the men were off fighting. So why would there be men walking around the city? Then this one is Churchill actually sends this girl, Rose. I think it's Rose. Yes, Rose. I was trying to remember which one Rose was in. She's in this one. Sends her off, gets her trained up with the women's team that's talked about in this book, and sends her off to France. And it's kind of cool. Now, this one flits back between present time. Now, present time in this book is 1946, after the war has ended. So it flicks back between that and between times during the war, because you find you learn the stories of the girls that the person in 1946 is trying to track, which is kind of cool. Yeah, this one starts in 1941 and ends in 19 something. Oh, there's book club questions. I love when they do this. This one's got book club questions in the back. Discussion questions. Yes. This one ends in 1960. This one starts in 1941 and ends in 1969. Favorite things. I am a huge chocoholic. Right now, I have the Who bars in my refrigerator because they were on sale. It's not often. They were down to, they're normally about around the $5 mark. They were down to $2.99 a thing. And then because I bought 5, I got $1 off each one. So I saved $5 by getting 5. And so this one's hazelnut butter. This is really good. But the only problem is that their dark chocolate is only 70% cacao. I like it a little higher, but I'm not going to argue with the price. My favorite tea. This is my favorite tea. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to New Zealand because I haven't found it in New Zealand yet. When I was down there one time, I took some down with me, but I ran out. And so we went to the market to get some more in the market and didn't have any of this brand. I don't know if any of the other markets do, but it means I'm going to have to find a different brand when I go down there. But this is the Puka lemon, ginger, and manuka honey. Very yummy, very soothing. So the other thing I like to do too is I will sing in the car. If there's music on, I'm singing. Zephyr used to huff and put her head down, like, you don't want to sing, Zephyr? Or I would car dance at the traffic lights. In fact, somewhere on my YouTube channel, there is actually a video of me in the car talking about car dancing. It brings a smile to people's faces. You sit there in the car, you get your moves going. Trying to do YMCA in the car is very difficult. I will tell you that from experience. But just sitting in the car and getting that movement going, there's lots of different things that you can, different arm movements you can do, different upper body movements. You can even get the feet going a little bit, but don't take your foot off the brake. Or if you've got a manual, don't take your other foot off the clutch. So just do the upper body movements and do not do it while driving, only while sitting at the light. But you get weird looks. And sometimes I catch people and they're just so light and I go, just give them a wave. And then the light goes green and you're never going to see them again. Well, you may see them again. Who knows? But hey, if it makes somebody laugh or gives them a smile, a little bright spot in the day, a little spark, I'm all for it. Got to spread the joy. Got to spread the sparkles. So those are just some of the things that I do to play. I would love to play board. If I want to play board games, or like I've got an app on my phone for playing 500, which is one of my favorite card games to play. It requires more than one person. So the only way I can do that right now is play it on the iPad or play it on my phone. The other one I do is I do some solitaire on there as well because I don't have a big enough. When I'm sitting in front of, because I'm usually playing the cards when I'm sitting in front of TV, watching a movie or whatever, the hands have to stay busy. I'll be doing puzzles during that time. When I'm watching movies, I'll be doing puzzles, something with my hand, crocheting, knitting, puzzles, playing cards on the iPad or the thing. Although not so much the electronics in the evenings now. I try and turn off the electronics in the evening. Yes, I will sit and watch a movie or binge watch a TV show. I'm binge watching. It's really cool. It's on BBC. It's on BritBox. It's on a channel called BritBox, and it is called The Repair Shop. And these people bring in these antique things that have been passed down through generations into the repair shop to get them repaired. Can you get this clock working? Can you fix my treasure box? Can you fix, and stuffed toys as well? There's been clocks and watches and stuffed toys and mirrors and treasure boxes that have like an oriental theme to them. There's been old wooden desks. There was one desk there. It was the oldest it was the oldest piece that had ever been bought into them. It was over 300 years old. It had been down through 4 or 5 generations. But what they do is they didn't refurbish it so it would look brand new. No, they left a lot of the old scarring and everything there and gave it a good clean and then polished and shellacked it. They had to fix one corner because there'd been some woodworm in there. So the guy basically rebuilt the corner of the desk. And when he was finished, you couldn't tell the difference. And just some of the jobs that they get in there are just incredible. Oh, there's the ceramics lady too. And then there's, what's she called? There's one that restores paintings, but there's a special term that goes with her. But she restores paintings. And she had one that came in with a tear. And so she got in there and fixed the tear in there. Then she has to go in with paints and match the colors up and then go and literally paint over the scar. And then there was areas where paint was peeling. So she went in and removed and used heat to help stick the paint back down again. And she did some other thing to stop it bubbling and coming off again. But it looked, the work these guys do, these women and men do, is absolutely amazing. So if you get a chance to watch The Repair Shop on BritBox, please do so. It is a fascinating show. It is fascinating because you get to hear the stories. These antiques that are passed down through generations. You get to hear the story behind them. Because one question asked is, how did you come in possession of this item? And you get the backstory, which is really cool. And some of them have really fascinating backstories as well. So play. What play teaches us is that it doesn't have to produce anything tangible to be valuable. It brings balance to a world that demands productivity. Small, playful acts create joy that sustains us in heavier seasons. Play reconnects us with creativity and wonder. Play is a form of rest, renewal, and presence. What happens when we forget to play? Life becomes rigid, serious, and overly task-driven. Yeah, there's times I forget to play, and yeah. The last almost 7 weeks, I've had to remind myself to play because I haven't had Zeffie around to remind me. And she loved to play. She would bring me her toys and we'd play tug with them, we'd toss them, and just watching her race after them and then sliding on the tile to get them. And sometimes she'll put her front paws on the tile and just keep going. So her front paws on the toy, which was on the tile, and then she'll just keep sliding. It's absolutely brilliant. What happens when we forget to play? We lose touch with joy, curiosity, and spontaneity. Stress builds without a natural outlet, and we miss opportunities to connect with others in light-hearted ways. How we carry forward, we look for ways to weave play into everyday moments. Humming in the kitchen, dancing while folding the laundry. Oh, I definitely do all of that. And savoring chocolate slowly. Yes. Get to open this one tonight. Definitely savoring the chocolate. Recognize play as an act of resistance against burnout. Treat play as a form of self-care, as essential as sleep and nourishment. Share playful moments with others to deepen connection and spread joy. When we allow play back into our lives, we model for others, family, friends, colleagues, that joy belongs in adulthood. I totally read that wrong. When we allow play back into our lives, we model for others, family, friends, and colleagues, that joy belongs in adulthood too. We leave behind not just stories of work accomplished with memories of laughter, silliness, and delight. That legacy of play is often what others remember most vividly. When I go visit my grandsons, I love to play with them. We get there down on the floor in the playroom. They've got a room with all their toys and stuff in. They have these really cool, like stained glass shapes that are magnets. And you can build all sorts of things with them. They're really, really cool. And I love playing with them. And we like building these elaborate buildings and things. And then they'll have like car mats that you can drive the cars. And I get told no. I remember Darmic one time when I was watching him. It was a Wednesday. I always watched him on a Wednesday. And he comes into the kitchen. And he's gotten I don't know, who's staying with us for the weekend. That's what it was. We had put the mat out on the floor. We had this road map that had a parking area and a road and all that sort of stuff. And so he comes out and he's got his toys, these cars. He's hanging onto the cars with his two little hands. He goes, "What's your favorite color, Grandma?" And I go, "Purple." "I don't have a purple car, Grandma." I said, "That's okay. Do you have a blue one?" "Yes." So then I'll use that one. "No, Grandma, I'm playing with the blue one. You can have the green one." So we went and sat on the floor, and I had my one green car. He had about 4, and he's driving around and goes, "No, Grandma, you can't go there." So, why can't I go there? The road goes there. The road goes into that parking area. I want to park. "No, Grandma, you can't park in that one. You have to park in that one over there." He was 2 or 3. Telling me where I was allowed to park. I couldn't play with the blue car. I had to have the green one, but that was okay. We had fun. We got down on the floor there and we're playing cars around on the floor. And we had the big size Lego. And so I'm building different buildings for him and all that sort of stuff, and building like a big garage structure for him. And he goes and he puts it in the area that he wants it on the mat. I tell you, playing with kids is so much fun. So much fun. I love doing it. Love doing it. Okay, so we have, where are we up to? Questions. Yes, we have questions. Question number, we got 4 for you. Question number 1, what playful activities bring you the most joy right now? Number 2, when was the last time you laughed freely and what sparked it? What was I? Oh, it was a TikTok video. I have to limit myself from watching videos and reels and shorts and that sort of stuff, because otherwise I just get lost on those. But yeah, I sent one to Kathy earlier today. It was to do with dogs. They were being weird. Number 3, how can you add a little more play into your daily routine this coming week? And number 4, what does play look like for the adult version of you? My play for me, what it looks like is just having fun. It could be watching a movie. It could be doing any of the things that we've just shown you here. It could be going for a drive and just parking somewhere where you can watch, watching children play in the playground, watching people walk around, because we've got some parks around here which have a children, the play area, the dog park area. They might have a little lake thing where people are fishing, and just watching people, just people watching. That's all. Go sit somewhere and people watch. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. I love people watching. People go, oh, this is the fun one. When you go to the airport, people always say, oh, I've got to be there. Then I got to sit there. No. And I'm like, I love the airport. And they're like, why? I says, I can watch so many people. I says, do you know how many storylines I end up with by the time I get on the plane? And they look at me like, what do you mean? I says, well, I love to write. So sometimes I might hear a phrase. I might see a scene. And I will write it down in my journal. That I always carry a journal with me. I said, I'll write it down in my journal, and later on I'll go back and explore that. And they're like, really? I said, yeah. I said, it's a great place for getting inspiration for stories and things like that. You see somebody going along, and instead of looking at the person, you're looking at the really cool bag that they're wheeling along behind. There's some really cool carry-on bags out there. And you get that, and that might inspire something within you, might inspire some sort of art or writing or whatever, might inspire a poem. Who knows? Inspiration is all around you. Playing is all around you. Find your joy in every day. Maybe it's sitting watching the wildlife play. Maybe it's going to the zoo and just sitting there and watching. And so here's a fun thing to do with your grandkids when you're taking to looking at, seeing things at the zoo through the eyes of your grandchildren. So there's times when it was just Dimek and I would go off to the zoo for the day, and he had a fascination with flamingos. We could be there for an hour, and you walk in the gate, and the flamingos were like straight ahead over here. And so we'd go over there, and because he knew where the flamingos were, he would start walking that way. We would spend an hour standing there watching the flamingos. What were the flamingos doing? Nothing. They were standing on one leg with their head tucked into their back, sleeping. Or they may have been on it. One of them may have been sitting on a nest. These birds were just standing there doing basically nothing. They were not moving. They were just sleeping. And my grandson was absolutely fascinated with them and watching them. And if one of them would move, he'd be like, and you'd watch that one move to wherever it was going or what it was doing, and then it would stick its leg back up and put its head back around and go back to sleep. He found it fascinating. I didn't care. It kept him amused. It was fine. And so then we'd go on walking, and he liked watching the gorillas. And what was the other one? Oh, the bubbles. That's right. He was just learning to talk. And I had him in his pushchair, and we go around and we get to the elephants. Well, of course, he's down in the pushchair, so he can't see the whole elephant. All he can see is the round body. Bubbles! Bubbles! And I'm like looking at them, and I get down on his level and go, yeah, they kind of do look like bubbles, don't they? And then we were looking at, and then we're over in the area where the lions were, and there was a lioness, and she was half out of the door of their little area that they go into at night. She's half out of the door. She's got her head rested up against the glass. And this is the same trip. My grandson looks at that and goes, doggy. Yeah, no, not quite a doggy. But how about a cat? Should we call that one a cat or a lion? Doggy. He dropped his voice, doggy. Like he was determined. But yeah, going to the zoo with the grandkids is always, I enjoy it, especially, and watching them as they grow up at different times, going through the zoo and things. But, if you're a grandparent, even if you're a parent, start looking at the world through your children's eyes. It is fascinating. It is fascinating how they see and interpret things. Like you're looking at it from up here, they're looking at it from down here. Get down on their level to see what they can see. It's fascinating. Yeah, taught my grandson to like funnel cake. He thought funnel cake was really good. But, take the time to take the kids to the park and let them play and run around and things like that. And that's what I did with one of my grandsons. I was watching the kids, and one of the grandsons and the younger of the three of them had the day off school. And so it was grandma and Cohen time. And so we went off and we went out, we went to the park, and he climbed in and around all over the jungle gym and everything else, and just had fun. And at times he'd go, "Grandma, I'm stuck, Grandma." And I go, "Just push your hands back." And he'd be like, hands on the monkey bars, and his tippy toes were just holding onto the flooring of the platform of the jungle gym thing he was on. And so I'd have to go put my hand on his chest and just push him back. Because, and he wanted to swing, so he wanted Grandma to push him. It was fine. It was great. It was awesome. I loved it. We went out for lunch together and had a great lunch. And it's so much fun taking kids out and just having a blast with them. So if and I know the parents try and do something different away from the house each night, each weekend, and all of that as well. So, yeah, I enjoy looking after my grandkids and getting down on the floor with them and playing and stuff like that. And it's interesting playing games with kids because they tell you their version of the rules, and then halfway through the game, they change the rules. I'm like, no, you told me that. And they're like, "No, Grandma, no, it's not that way." But even just sitting there with them with a piece of paper and some crayons and something, and they draw you pictures that you can put up on your refrigerator when you get home. I got a couple on my refrigerator I'm going to take to New Zealand with me to go on my refrigerator that's waiting for me in New Zealand. So, it's if you don't have any kids around, that's okay. Go find some stuff to play with. Go play. One time I was sort of like, I was in the RV and I bought some Play-Doh. I hadn't had it for years, but something in me just said, we need some Play-Doh. So I went and bought some Play-Doh and I played with the Play-Doh for a bit. Yeah, until my hands started getting really itchy. I don't know what it was. It might have been the sparkles that was inside the Play-Doh. I don't know, but my hands just got really itchy playing with it. So I had to stop playing with it. But I had fun because I was able to pop the lid off and get that Play-Doh smell. I think that's what I wanted more than anything else was that Play-Doh smell. But find things around you that you can do things that make you happy. It could be going out into the garage and doing some woodworking, or fixing something, or tinkering in the car. That's your playtime. It could be going and having a round of golf, or going to the golf ball range and hitting some golf balls. I did see some funny TikTok videos about that too. The ball's here, the tee's here, and the guy comes through, swings it with the club, goes right between the artificial grass and the ball, and just hits the tee, and the ball just goes plop down on the ground. And he's like looking, where'd it go? It was hilarious. Anyway, it's time to get out of here. So in closing thought, play is not wasted time. It's how we water the roots of joy, creativity, and resilience. The puzzles, doodles, songs in the car, little bits of chocolate aren't distractions from life. They are life. They remind us that we are more than what we accomplish, and that delight has a place in every season. Play is sacred because it brings us back to ourselves. And with that, we are out of here. Another thing you can do, have a water fight. You can get some really cool water blasters these days. Anyway, I'm out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konara.